I'm Sophia Jackson. I'm the editor and founder of Afridiziak Theatre News, and I'm here today with Tori Allen-Martin, who is the playwright for Park Bench. Would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Oh God, I don't put me on the spot. Yeah, I'm an actor, writer, singer, do a bit of everything, jack of all trades, master of a couple. Yeah, and I wrote Park Bench and I'm in it. And it's the show that opens the Park Theatre back up, and we open on Wednesday, which is very soon.
Which is very soon, also very exciting, which leads me on to my first question, which is theatres have been dark for so many months, and I'm really pleased that we can enjoy theatre in real life again. As a playwright and an actor, how does it feel to be back on stage, and also the honour of being the first play that reopens Park Theatre as well?
I know. It feels amazing to be back. I do a little bit of directing, and I've been in at drama schools directing pieces. So that was amazing to sort of feel work happening. But then when I got on stage myself, I was like, oh my God, I did a workshop of a new musical called Cake a couple of months ago at the Turbine Theatre, but it was just really quick and it was a week and it's a small space. So you it was like over before we'd even realised what had happened. Yeah. So actually being in a space with your feet planted on it, like, oh, we're creating this thing. I was like, God, I haven't done this since the end of 2019 and we're now more than halfway through 2021. Yeah. So it was a bit of a like, but to just be creating again, yeah, I have this new love for it that I didn't think I could love it more, and I do, and I appreciate it so much. Like now when I'm tired or stressed, I'm like, I'm not moaning because I know what it was like to sit on my bum for best like a year. So I'm grateful for that. And I didn't actually know that this show would reopen the park. Like when they first asked me to do it, it was going to be like an online thing. It went through sort of various iterations, and then when I don't know how I sort of and then I was like, what, I'm the first one back, and then I thought it was in the 90, then I was like, oh, it's in the 200. So it was this, I think it was only like the week before I was like, oh, it's the main space and I'm opening it. Yeah, so it's a massive honor, and I'm just so grateful that they trusted me with it, especially as a woman of color, especially as somebody that doesn't come from a privileged background. You know, I grew up on a housing estate with a single parent family. Like we aren't the voices that usually we're seen as risks. So for them to take such a public risk by having me as a relatively new playwright and a woman of color, and up there, it's lovely, and I hope it's a sign of things to come. And I think it's a really good. I think this season that the park have announced, I find really exciting, and I think it's a really good nod to what they're about and what they're going to be about, which is so cool.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people of colour in the industry were concerned that theatres would be panicking and just going back to more traditional theatre just to get bums on seats. So it's great that they are. I don't think it's a risk. It's a great play, so it's not a risk if it's a good production. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what we hope, but it's nuts how many sort of old-fashioned gatekeepers think a woman's voice, and especially a brown woman's voice, is risky.
But the concept is universal. Dating is for everybody, so
exactly.
So I absolutely love the concept behind Park Bench. So I've seen Act 1, which I watched on YouTube, and I just thought it was brilliant and very creative. Do you want to give Afridiziak readers some background to Park Bench then?
Yeah, so my wonderful producer at the park, Daniel, as I said, we've been going back and forward on ideas, and then he sort of landed on this one where he was like, how about we do something that starts online and then hopefully finishes in person? Because at that point, with the government and all that, everything was hopeful. Like, it was like, just remain hopeful. And the minute he said that, I was like, yes. Everything else that had been kind of like, should we? This one, I was like, nah, let me go and do it. I know what I want to do. And just that idea of it starting online and these Zoom plays that we've all been doing, and this new normal, and then the excitement of the second part of that happening live with you. Like, you know, this play will be some people's first time back in a theatre, or one of the first times, and to have that experience with two people that you met online in that Zoom thing, and then you're like, oh, they're there, and I was like, that's a bit of me. So yeah, so we wanted to straddle that. We felt it was really important to straddle the world we're coming out of and the world we're going into, and not shy away from that. And while it's not a play about the pandemic, it nods towards it, and it is about, because for me, I just felt everybody I've spoken to has been through some sort of epiphany in this time, whether it's, you know, losing somebody to illness, or whether it's like to COVID, what, you know, people have been through like traumas, lots of breakups, lots of realizing people are toxic, lots of realizing actually I've been overworking, I'm missing my life. I don't think anybody is coming out of this the same person that they were when we went in. And yeah, the thought of writing a piece that could kind of encompass that and give a nod to it and go, it's all right, and kind of hold your hand through that, was a really exciting prospect for me. And the theatre I love is the theatre that makes you want to go and talk about it in the bar afterwards. And I always say with all my plays, I just want you to want to pick up the phone at the end and tell someone you love them. Whatever I write, that's always just my sort of goal. And so this felt like such a wicked opportunity to do that. And I had a breakup just before lockdown, quite a painful one. We were engaged and he cheated on me, and it was a nightmare. So I survived by kind of learning about attachment theory, narcissism, everything I could to like just learn, so that I wouldn't make the same mistakes. Rather than blame, just learn. And then I started thinking about breakups before that, and who I'd been and who I was, and I met up with somebody when it relaxed a bit, that I'd had a sort of situationship with, and that felt put to bed. And I was like, that's what I want to write. I want to write that. There's so much about how to break up if from love, but you know, those friendship, like losing a friendship or a family member, or like those breakups those people can be so integral in your life, and then they're gone, and no one helps you with that. So I was like, I want to write about that messy, muddly sort of like periods. And that's what I did. You also using all of the stuff I'd had a whole lockdown to study, like emotional abuse. And that's what Park Bench became. And I think ultimately it's a play about choosing yourself. And yeah, it straddles this world, this new world that we're all stepping into, thinking, who am I? And who can I take with me? And who have I got to leave behind? So I hope it's relatable. Sorry, I've just wanged on for 7 hours there.
No, it's fine. But it does lead me on to my next question, which was, are there any similarities with Park Bench in your own personal life? And it sounds like there are quite a few. Not quite.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, no. It started further away from me, and then my best friends in the world have ended up directing Act 2. And not because they're my best friends, because they're absolutely brilliant at what they do. They're incredible creatives and they inspire me so much. And they're now directing the live version. And I think when you are in a space with people who know you so well, we had another read of it, and they just knew what questions to ask me. And I think because they know about my past and my history, they were like, so what's that, Tori? What are you not saying there? And so I think the draft that they've pulled out of me, Sarah Henley and Tim O'Hara, it's just like, it's so much better than it would have been, but it's become so much more autobiographical. And now I found myself, I had like a meltdown last week, so I was like, oh god, I'm just reliving all of my pain on stage. But I think that's healing, and healing isn't linear, is it? And I hope that my vulnerability and pain might help someone else feel a bit less pain. So it's all worth it. It's not in vain. But yeah, she's me on a good day. Like she's more sensible and boundaried than I am. I think I get myself into more mess. But yeah, I mean, there are elements of it that are not true at all. But ultimately, yeah, it's nothing that I haven't been through. Put it that way.
I should keep that in the back of my mind when I'm watching it. It sounds like it's been quite therapeutic, actually.
Yeah, it has definitely. Yeah, I feel really grateful for the process for me, but I always try and steer clear of self-indulgence, because I think the minute you start doing something purely for you, that's not what it's about. You've got to remember it's a gift and you're doing it for them. So there's lots of humor in it, and it's been fun. Obviously, I identify with Liv a lot, the part I'm playing, but it's been really fun to write the opposite end of that, and the opposing views, and to get inside somebody else's head. So I hope it's I hope it speaks to people who are different to me as well. And yeah, I steer clear whenever it gets too like emotional or like lovey or sad. I'm like, put a cheeky joke in there, put some cringe pun in there, put a song in there, like, just so it never gets too schmaltzy or too about me, because that's, who cares, do you know what I mean?
But also, I think you want to uplift people as well, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah, nobody needs to feel fully depressed after you. We've had enough.
We've had a lot of that. So.
Exactly. We've got to have a laugh. So I promise you, there's that in there as well. It's not full on like.
I mean, I did when I watched Act 1. I do remember thinking, oh, it was so relatable. It was cringe. It was like, oh God, that's exactly what it's like. Oh no, and it's right there for everybody to see. But yeah, there are so many relatable bits. And we weren't doing online dating before the pandemic, so it's just opened us up to a whole new way of getting to know somebody, but a safe way to get to know somebody, though.
It is, but I couldn't do it. I didn't do any of that. I don't know if I don't know your situation, or but for me, I was like, I just can't meet somebody like that. I'll just get awkward. I'll just put them off me, because I'd be like, hello. Like, yeah, no, I'm not wired for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've used dating apps, but I've not dated on Zoom.
Yeah, me too. One guy asked me, but I was like, I think I'll wait. I think I'll just wait so we can go for a drink, actually.
Or even a walk in the park.
Yeah, that's more my jam.
So what could you say to audience members who might not have ventured to the theatre? Because I think we mentioned earlier that this might be the first time that some people are back. So what does Park Theatre have in place to alleviate anyone's concerns?
So we're opening fully socially distanced, so you don't have to worry. Like, I went to the theatre yesterday in town, and I was like, whoa, because it is lit. You're lit. People are like that. Like, it just shocked me a bit, and I'm quite relaxed. I worry more for other people. I'm still wearing the mask and stuff more for others.
Yeah.
But even I was like, whoa. So being there, I was really grateful, actually, that the park have called it that we're just not gonna break that. So it's going to remain socially distanced.
Yeah.
So I think it's a 200 seater, but I think we're only having a maximum of 80 a night. So there's definitely room.
Yeah.
That's not going to change. They're encouraging that people wear masks. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. The whole building is being refurbed at the moment. It's looking amazing.
Okay.
But like, there's cleaners in there every day. Like, I'm seeing it with my own eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a brand new gaff. Yeah. So it's sparkly and clean. They're really hot on it, and it's such a priority for them that people feel comfortable. So I think if it is one of your first trips back, it will be a really nice one where you will feel respected and safe. We're a really small team. We're all being careful. Like, the theatre yesterday was like the only thing I'd done, and I was like, I've got in there, and I didn't get on the tube. I walked to the, we're COVID testing, all of that. So we're doing everything we can to keep this thing open. So we're being really, really safe, because we've only got a 2-week one, and people are having to shut down for 10 days. So like,
it's really stressful.
We did 4 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, the theatre's really taking precautions and actually making it, they're running more of a risk and a loss for themselves just to keep other people safe. So I can assure you that it's a really safe, lovely space to be.
That sounds very reassuring. We did touch on it briefly also, that the pandemic has been a time for reflection as well, and some positives have come out of it. including how we access theatre, and seeing it for an opportunity for change. Are there any changes that you would like to see within the theatre industry?
I mean, where do you start? Yeah, I just want to keep, I don't want to keep seeing the same stories and the same voices. And I think more people deserve a seat at the table. And I think it's on the gatekeepers to open up the doors and allow people space. And what we were saying earlier about risk, just getting over themselves, that it's not, it's not a risk. And also it's only a risk in the beginning, and then people get used to it, and that's when change comes. So I hope that people are braver and bolder. I love what the park are doing with their first season. I think they're being brave, they're being bold. Chiswick Playhouse are doing the same. I'm seeing it in kind of the smaller venues more, actually. But then I did go and see Constellations yesterday with
that's where I was.
Were you yesterday?
Yeah, I watched.
I was there.
I really needed to see and I caught the last one at 2:00. Yeah, the matinee.
Me too. That's where I was. That's so nuts. That's why I had to go. That's why I was like, I haven't done anything, but I was like, I have to go. And I don't know how your experience was, but I didn't know how much I needed that. I felt so empowered watching them, and I found their performances infinitely more interesting and complex because of the way they slipped out of, like, when they go into that roadman and then back, like, just the different versions of themselves that they could create within that story because of the culture, because of Black culture, and the way you can flip into different versions. And like, I just found that I didn't see that coming, and it made me so excited for what we can do with theatre if we put talent like that at the forefront of it.
Yeah, it was a really accurate depiction of what it is like to be a Black person. Because you have to be a chameleon to fit into different spaces, and they did it superbly. They nailed it, and it was just really beautiful as well, just to see Black love on the stage in the West End as well. It was
exactly.
But
I felt the same, and I was so excited that they opened with those two powerhouses. And I it's that weird thing, isn't it? It's like you don't realize how much you need something until you see it. And I sat there yesterday and I thought, I know so, like, white people get that experience that we got yesterday all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Because you see it all the time. And I'm not saying I don't relate to pieces that have white people in it. I have a white guy in this show, Tim Bowie, who I think he's phenomenal. But again, he's like a working class, he's from Gravesend. He's not somebody you see all the time. He's like cheeky chappy, but he's quietly emotionally, he's another way. He's not your typical, and that's why I think he's so interesting to watch. But you can always relate, you can always find something. But that's why we need to see Asian stories, Southeast Asian stories, Black stories, and not ones about being Black, or, like you said, it's just a love story. They just happen to be Black. And I think the more we see that, disabled voices, and that's for me what we need, because I think the best thing theatre does is it breeds empathy, and especially in a world where it's so rife with pain and hate, and the more we can learn from just empathizing with the people up there and understanding their plights, that's a beautiful thing. But it's integral that we come back doing that. We need to come back better, not the same, because the same isn't good enough now, because we've moved in this time. Black Lives Matter and all the epiphanies we've had, we've moved on. So coming back the same is coming back backwards. So it's got to progress, I hope.
And I thought that was actually quite progressive, because they probably oohed and ahed about whether to start with the Black characters as 100%. Well as they're reopening, and it was quite a full auditorium.
Yeah.
And a good mix. It was predominantly white people, but it was full,
and you did see a mixture of people yesterday. Like I saw people that I felt were a bit more like me, which was nice, and that's what we need, because, like, without sounding harsh, like, a lot of the sort of older middle class white theatre goers, a lot of them are getting old.
They
So
are
when they go
new
in
audiences.
10, 20 years, who have you got? Like, you've got to start getting us in. So if you want our money, start putting us on the stage. Then, like, program us. Then we'll pay. It's a lot of money, you know. So
absolutely.
yeah, it's exciting when you see. You know, we were both there, so it's like, I think
This
it's
is true.
when...
And when it was the end, I was like, are they going to get a standing ovation? Right, I'm standing up. I'm giving them a standing ovation. But then I looked around, and other people were giving them a standing ovation.
Yeah, lots of people got up. But I was the same. I was like, well, I was going to get ready to be like, stand up, to stretch, get up.
Same. Yes. So, what's next for you? Acting or writing, or both again?
Both.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it is or not?
I don't know. Like, I always live in fear of getting in trouble. But I've got a couple of pieces in development with TV companies.
Brilliant.
Which is really cool. I'm doing a treatment for one, and I'm writing a pilot script for another, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
And one is sort of like emotional abuse and narcissism and this stuff I'm talking about, and the other one is about being a mixed race person and identity and Black culture, and and the difference in America and here, and you know, it's all. So I shouldn't give all my ideas away. No one steal that. I coined it. And then I've got 2 TV gigs that I'm filming. So I'm really lucky in I get like 2 weeks after this show, but that's for writing. And then I'm also writing a stage show.
Brilliant.
About 3 Black women divas, which is really exciting.
That is really
so I'm trying. I'm ramming it in there. I'm doing it for the people of colour. I'm shoving us in everywhere. So I'm doing my bit. But I've got that, and then I'm filming. So I'm super, super lucky that I'm basically busy till the end of December, which is amazing.
Long may that continue.
So grateful.
Long may that continue. And my final question.
Hard.
I'm glad that you're busy. My final question is, why should Afridiziak readers come and see Park Bench?
I say that harsh. You just feel like really arrogant, don't you?
Be arrogant.
I think Afridiziak readers should come and see Park Bench because I think it's a show about choosing yourself. It's a kiss to bravery. Fortune favours the brave. It's about being vulnerable. It's a hand to walk you home. It's just saying it's all right to be confused. It's all right to be a little bit lost. It's all right to not know how to cope at your averagely good life. And some of these are lines in the play. And it's okay to get your heart broken, and that's being human. And it's just about kind of letting it in, the good, bad, ugly. Just let it in. Okay. So I think it will feel like a warm hug at a time when we haven't been able to have enough of that. And just a little like nod from us to you that like you're doing okay. Keep going.
That's plenty of reasons to see it.
That's why I think people should come and then say hello in the bar afterwards. From afar, if you like. I will.
No, don't hug me.
No.
Don't take my hand
away. I'll do that. I have hand sanitizer.
Or an elbow.
Yeah. All for the elbows. We reference that in it as well. There's little nods the whole way through. So it's not about the pandemic, but it's definitely not pretending that we've not just been through this.
And we're still going through it, to be fair. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, we're going to go through it. There's no way with all this ridiculous opening up that it's not all going to shut down, surely. I mean, it's mental.
No, don't say that. But yeah, probably.
I don't know, but I mean, it's just mad. It's a madness, isn't it? The whole thing is just a madness. But
it is a madness. And on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been really lovely.